Most people who fail on YouTube aren't failing because they're lazy or they're not putting in enough reps. In fact, you're probably posting consistently. You're probably improving your content every time you post. You're probably studying what the big creators are doing and trying to double down and recreate that, right? Problem is, it's still not working for you. And it's because everything you've been taught about growing on YouTube, it was designed for creators, not for businesses. And if you have a business, a real offer, real customers, real revenue, then you're playing an entirely different game, one that almost nobody is teaching correctly. And listen, I've spent 8 years building channels. The work of mine has crossed 50 million views in total. I've made over $100,000 personally in 30 days using nothing but YouTube organic. And Gary Vaynerchuk, the man, the myth, the legend himself, has even flown me out to New York City because of what I've built. And the system behind all of it, it really fits into 5 parts. And in the next 1 hour or so, I'm gonna give you guys the entire thing for free. Now, this is a full course, so get your drink, sit back, relax. Nice. And by the end of this, you're gonna understand exactly how to use YouTube to get the right traffic to your business and exactly how to convert that traffic into paying clients or customers. We're gonna cover research, content strategy, funnel architecture, and the exact VSL system that I use to turn YouTube into a 24/7 sales machine. As I've said before, I've hit 6-figure months and I don't run any ads. I do everything organically through YouTube. So if you have a business and YouTube still feels like that piece of the puzzle that you just can't quite crack, then this video is exactly for you. So let's get into it. All right, cool. So the first thing that we need to establish, and this is probably the most important mindset shift for this entire video, it is that YouTube for a business is not the same game as YouTube for a creator. Most entrepreneurs, they figure this out the hard way. They watch what the big creators do. They study the thumbnails, the formats, the concepts, the editing style, the posting cadence, you name it, right? They copy it. And listen, your intuition's right if that's you. That's a smart strategy. You're simply reverse engineering what's already been proven to work. But the thing is, when you do it on YouTube and you post, well, nothing happens, right? So you post more, still nothing. You maybe go and hire an editor. That's a very common one. So now the videos look better, but still nothing, right? Even if you're getting views, maybe you're not actually converting those views. And a lot of people that I work with, when they're in this situation, they usually start to think YouTube just doesn't work for their business. But that is not the problem. The problem is they're playing the wrong game. And this right here is the point that really changes the entire trajectory of how we're going to be moving forward from here going on in this video. See, a creator channel, it's monetized through attention. The goal is more views, subscribers, watch time, AdSense revenue, sponsorship deals, you name it, right? Because the more people who watch, the more money you make if that's your strategy. So that entire strategy is built around maximizing for reach, for traffic. But a business channel is monetized through trust. You don't need 1 million views. You need the right 10,000 or even 1,000 views. You need the right people to find you, to understand what you do, to believe you can solve their problem and move closer to buying from you. That's a completely different objective. That changes the entire landscape and it requires a completely different strategy. Now, I like to think about it like this. Imagine you're a surgeon. Now, you could go into some comedy club, get on stage at that comedy club and make 1,000 people in the room laugh. Or because of your unique skill set, you could walk into a hospital and literally save 1 life. Both involve an audience, but the skill set, the environment, and the goal are completely different. And most entrepreneurs walk into the comedy club when they should be in the hospital. They're trying to optimize the YouTube for growth rather than for revenue. 2 different strategies, 2 different landscapes, 2 different results. So the question really is, how do we make the right buyer more ready to buy in the landscape of YouTube? Now that one shift changes every decision that you're gonna make going forward. From the topics you pick, the titles you write, the structure, the way you structure your videos, the way you go about the call to actions in your videos, everything. Because once you understand that, the next question becomes very obvious, which is if YouTube is supposed to support the business, what does the business actually need? Well, it needs traffic. A business without traffic is just an idea. The thing is, it doesn't just need traffic. Specifically, it needs the right traffic. And it needs a way to convert that traffic. And that's the whole game. Traffic and conversion. Now, the rest of this video is going to show you exactly how to build both of those things in the world of YouTube. Now, before we get into the system, I want to make sure we're honest about why most entrepreneurs actually fail. It's really important for you to understand why they fail before we understand or get into the fix it. And I say that because if you've tried YouTube before and it didn't work, I want you to understand exactly why, exactly what went wrong so that you don't repeat it. And there are really 4 core reasons. And almost every single failing channel has at least one of these. I guarantee you're gonna fall into one of these buckets if you're watching this video. Now, the most common starting point from an entrepreneur trying to scale their business on YouTube or with their YouTube channel is they always ask themselves the question, oh, what should we post this week, right? And that question sounds productive, like you're actually making moves forward to getting more content out there, but it's actually the completely wrong question that you should be asking. If YouTube's supposed to support the business, you can't start with content. You have to start with the business outcome. Now, I know if this feels like it's too beginner for you, just bear with me because I'm going to be tying this back. The landscape of building a YouTube-led business is slightly different. So we need to answer the following questions in order to make this system as powerful as possible, as bulletproof as possible. What are we trying to create demand for? Who specifically needs to trust us on the other side of the screen? What do they need to believe before they're ready to buy from me? What does the buyer journey actually look like from A to Z? And only after you've answered those questions in specificity do we decide what videos should exist on our channel. Now, most channels skip all of that and go straight to filming. So they end up with a content calendar full of videos that look active but have no business logic behind them. The channel's busy, but the business doesn't feel it at all. I want you to understand that content is a lot of work. It takes effort, it takes time, it takes resources, whether the resource being time or money, okay? So with that being said, we should be as strategic and methodical as possible and know exactly why every piece of content is being made and how it's gonna interact and serve us in our business. Now, the second mistake I see always is entrepreneurs delegate the wrong layer of YouTube. A lot of businesses go and hire an editor and expect strategy to happen by accident. Better editing can't save the wrong idea. An editor can improve pacing, structure, sound design, music, all that fancy stuff, right? But they cannot tell you which buyer belief needs to shift in this video. They cannot invent the positioning of your offer. They cannot decide which objections are going to kill your conversions or not, and how to basically manipulate the video in order to optimize for more conversions. So the business gets polished videos, but it still doesn't move the needle. That's not an editing problem. That is a strategy problem, which leads me to the third biggest mistake I see. Most entrepreneurs trying to scale their business with YouTube, they make videos from expertise instead of buyer psychology. This one is subtle, but it kills so many channels. So most people who are a coach, consultant, or an expert in anything, most experts ask, well, what do I know, right? What can I teach? What's my area of expertise? But did you see the problem there? We're very focused on ourselves. A much better question to ask is, what is my buyer already thinking about? What problem are they aware of right now? What have they already tried? And what do they believe that's keeping them stuck? Because expertise starts from your head, but buyer psychology starts from their current situation. So I'm telling you, if you start from your expertise, what you're gonna do is you're gonna create accurate content that nobody urgently needs. But if you start from your buyer's psychology and you create content that enters the conversation already happening in their minds, well, it's gonna that's the difference between a video that gets watched and a video that gets shared and converts into actual cash flow revenue. Now, the fourth biggest mistake that I see people make is they chase the wrong views. This is so important to understand if your goal is revenue over growth. Now, a video can get views and still be completely useless to the business. If it attracts people with no money, no urgency, no fit, or no path to your offer, well, I'm sorry to tell you, but those views are not demand. They're just attention. And attention without direction, that, my friends, is noise. That is you blending into a sea of sameness. And this is why a founder can have a video perform well and still feel frustrated, because the analytics look good. They stroke your ego. You know, the subscriber count might even go up, but the business won't feel it. In fact, across both of my channels, I've had over 10 videos surpass over 100,000 plus views. And I gotta tell you, a lot of those videos were before I cracked the code I'm teaching you today on actually how to convert traffic to paying customers. And those videos did not make me nearly as much money as they should have, which is really unfortunate. And if that happens, right, you get a lot of views, a lot of attention, but it doesn't convert, that means the video attracted the wrong audience. It moved the wrong belief or had no clear next step. And let me be really clear about something. There's nothing wrong with going viral and getting a lot of views as long as it's the right ones. I see a lot of people in this space who talk about scaling or converting your business through YouTube being very bullish about like anti-views. That is not the case. Views are people, people are traffic. It's just about getting a lot of the right traffic ideally. Like ideally, we do go viral within our sphere of our ideal client profile, right? Or our ideal buyer. Because our ICP or ideal client profile is typically a much larger pool than we actually think it is. This is something I've learned by just doing tons and tons of research. We can all get a video with over 100,000 views and they can be the right views a lot of the times, depending on your industry and niche. We just need to make sure that we're understanding the distinction, the difference between the right views and the wrong views, because it's not a game of more views are bad, like a lot of people say within the space of making money on YouTube. It's because most people who get a lot of views are getting the wrong views, which is where that belief has stemmed. Because there is something that I call a unicorn, and it's where you get a lot of views. One of my videos has almost 500,000 views, 490,000 views, but that video was super focused on my buyers, my ICP, and that video made me a stupid amount of money, right? I call them unicorns because they're really hard to achieve, but they're possible. I think that the people who say views are bad, just optimize for conversions, it's the people who are giving you a free pass to be lazy with your content, because you will cut corners if that's your mindset. You will cut corners on some of the most important stuff like the ideation or the packaging. So all that to say, if posting more doesn't fix your issues of conversions and better editing doesn't fix it, or better content, then what does? Well, what you need to do is you need to build a channel backwards from the business. And that starts with understanding how the YouTube-led funnel actually works. Before I give you the system, you need to understand how YouTube fits into a funnel, because most people think about YouTube as one thing, and it's not. It's three things happening at the same time. You have something called top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. And each part of that funnel has a different job. Let me break it down in a way that actually makes really clear sense. Now, on YouTube, we have something called the CCN fit. I'm sure you've heard people talk about this, or basically, it's three different audience segmentations that we have. Different types of viewers or types of people who are going to be watching our videos. We have a new audience, a casual audience, and a core audience. Those are the three core segmentations of audience who are going to be consuming or coming at us with our content. Now, the top of funnel is the new viewer, right? This is someone who has never heard of you before. They've found your video probably through the homepage on YouTube, through search, through the algorithm recommending it, or through someone sharing it, right? Something along those lines. And at this point, they have no idea who you are. They don't trust you yet. They're just watching, because when they saw your thumbnail and title before clicking, they had a perceived expectation of a certain amount of value that they would get. They're not clicking on it because of you. They're clicking on it because they think they could get something valuable from that video, which, by the way, great job. It means you crush your packaging and your idea. Now, your job at the top of the funnel stage is one thing. You need to earn the next click. Now, you're not trying to sell them anything here. You're not trying to get them to book a call. You are trying to make them curious enough to watch another one of your videos or enter into your content ecosystem, right? To subscribe to you or to follow you somewhere. This right here, the main focus we have on this stage of the funnel is to nurture them, to turn them into a core viewer as quickly as we possibly can. Now, after looking at a stupid amount of analytics over the years and just so much data on this, I've found that your core viewers are the ones who are going to buy, plain and simple, right? They're the ones who are going to buy from you, especially if you're selling something high ticket. Now, on average, with educational YouTube content, specifically long form, 1% of your audience typically converts into paying customers on average. What's really interesting is that if you look at your analytics most of the time, your core viewer segmentation makes up 1% of your viewers. Now, what we need to do is we need to nurture our new and casual viewers to become a core audience segment or a core audience member as quickly as humanly possible. And the metric or analytical metric that matters here is, are the right people finding me? That's it. And that leads us to the middle of the funnel, right? And this is your casual audience. This is the second audience segmentation. This is someone who has watched a few of your videos. They know who you are a little bit, right? They're starting to trust you and your thinking. They're not ready to buy yet, especially if it's high ticket, but they're paying attention. Your job at the middle of the funnel is to deepen that trust and to shift their beliefs in order to get them to buy as quickly as possible. This, by the way, is where most of your regular content is going to live. Videos, that diagnose problems, challenge assumptions, show your mechanism in action, prove your point of view. Every video they watch makes your offer, or should make your offer, feel more obvious as a no-brainer to opt into. And the metric that matters here the most is, are people coming back, right? And then that leads us to the bottom of the funnel, or the core viewer, right? These are the ones who are ready to buy, the 1%. This is someone who's like your 1,000 true fans, if you will. It's someone who's consumed enough of your content that they very much trust you. In fact, they'll pretty much watch anything you come out with. They understand your process and they're close to actually making that decision. They just need that one more final push. Your job at the bottom of the funnel is just to convert. Now, this is where something like the VSL video lives. The VSL video is essentially a very long form course video. It's 45 minutes to an hour long, and it's a pinned video on your homepage of your YouTube channel. It's what I call the long form course video, the video that explains exactly what you do, why it works, and what the next step is. On my channel, it's this very video that you're watching right now. Now, the metric that matters the most here are people taking action? So with myself and with all my clients, I use a third-party attribution tool that tracks exactly how much leads and how much revenue we're making per video on a video by video basis. So we are very clearly able to see exactly this metric in action with this type of video. But remember, that's the main focus here. Are people taking action when they watch this video? Now, this all matters because most entrepreneur channels, they only think about one of three of these things, right? They either make top of funnel content trying to go viral, or they make bottom of funnel content that only resonates with people who already trust them. And they're limiting the amount of traffic or people they could be bringing into their funnel. Now, the channels that actually compound are the ones that have all three of these working together, which is why there's a term called make content for your CCN fit, right? Your core, casual, and new. Top of funnel brings in new people, middle of funnel builds trust over time, and bottom of funnel converts the people who are already ready to buy. And the way you connect all three of them is with a specific content architecture, which is exactly what I'm going to show you next. This is the strategy I have personally tested, refined, and am running right now with this exact video. I call it the VSL strategy. And listen, I've run webinars, I've run paid workshops, all of the above. And I got to tell you, this YouTube VSL strategy, it's probably the most efficient content architecture that I have found for turning YouTube into a real acquisition channel. And here's exactly how it works. You have two types of content on your channel. Type 1, regular videos. These are the videos that you post every single week. And make sure you stick around because I'm going to give you an actual content strategy to make sure your videos are performing for the right people in just a little bit. But for now, we're talking about this conversion strategy. So back to that. As you post every week, those videos, your weekly videos, they're going to be top of funnel and middle of funnel focused content. Their job is to attract the right people, to build trust, and to move beliefs. They're not trying to sell you anything directly. They're also great for free lead magnets, which is a whole nother hour-long conversation. But every single one of these quote unquote normal weekly videos, every single one of them has one job at the end. You send people to that VSL or that long free course that is a pinned post on our channel, because that video, the one that you're watching right now on my channel, that serves as your main conversion mechanism or piece of content. Which brings me to type 2, the second type of content on your channel, the VSL video, right? Basically what we just talked about. This is like the hub, the conversion engine, if you will. The one video that does all of the heavy lifting. It's long form, it's comprehensive, it teaches everything, and it's structured to convert. Meaning by the end of it, the right person should feel like the next step is obvious, which hopefully you will after this video. Everything I post on this channel is designed to eventually push people back to this video right here. And this video right here is designed to convert those people who arrive. Welcome, by the way. Now, I personally like to think about it kind of like a solar system, right? The VSL, or this free course, it's like the sun. And every other video I post on a week by week basis, well, it's like a planet orbiting the sun, pulling people in toward the center. Now, the reason this works is because it solves the biggest problem with YouTube as an acquisition channel, the trust gap, right? Most businesses try to convert cold traffic. Someone finds your video, they watch 3 to 8 minutes if you're lucky, if you have your structure and your retention dialed in. And then you ask them to go book a call or take action on something that they clearly know is going to be a high ticket offer. That's a massive leap, and most people aren't ready. But if that same person watches your regular video and then they get sent to this free course of VSL, right? They watch an hour of you teaching them something genuinely valuable. Now they know you, they trust you, they understand your process, they've already gotten results from your free content because this video is meant to genuinely give value, right? Don't hold back value here. In my experience, what's worked for me is the more value I give on these videos, on these conversion videos, actually the better they convert. So don't be afraid to give away too much here, which I will be doing even more so in just a little bit. Now, in these free course VSL videos, when you actually go and make an offer, it doesn't feel like a pitch. It feels like an invitation, like the obvious next step for them to take. What happens is the sales cycle compresses dramatically. I have seen this firsthand. The 100K month that I mentioned at the start of this video that I had, that wasn't from cold outreach. It wasn't from paid ads. It was from people who had watched my content, trusted my thinking, and were ready to move when I made the offer. YouTube did the selling before I ever even got on any call. And when I did get on a call, I had the upper hand. I had the better framing because they came to me. I had more authority. And that right there, dude, that's the power of this architecture. All right, sick. Now let me show you how to actually build it. What do you say? Now, let's start with the most important piece, getting the right traffic in the first place, right? It would be very misleading of me to talk about all of this and then not actually show you how to bring the traffic in. So let me show you how to find what will actually work in terms of content, what to post. Because let me tell you, I have worked with some really big entrepreneurs in this space, and I'll talk about them later on. But every single time I'm shocked. Some of the biggest entrepreneurs in this space are still at the level they're at, throwing ideas at the wall, throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something sticks. So I know that you are likely doing something very similar. Now, most people approach YouTube content, they do what I call intuition-based ideation. They think up of a topic that they know about, they make the video, they post it and package it the way they had thought about it, and then they kind of just hope that it does well. Guys, hope is not a strategy. That is, it's like a lottery ticket, right? Like you literally are playing against just with luck. Like that's literally what your strategy is. But let me tell you something, if nobody has yet, nothing on YouTube that performs well performs by accident. That's why YouTube strategists like myself have jobs. So what I've seen is the creators who consistently get views, the right views, and not occasionally, but video after video, are not guessing, okay? Like ever. What they're doing is they're researching, and they're doing it in a very, very specific way. Now, here's the core principle behind everything I'm about to show you. There is a very clear difference between noise and between signal. I want you to fundamentally understand this. The way I define noise is a single outlier video. Now, an outlier video is one video that performed really well on somebody's channel. It performed way better than every other video on that person's channel. So for example, if I say that something was a 10x outlier, that means that the video that's a 10x outlier performed 10 times better than anything that that person had posted on their channel before. What a lot of people do is they try to find outlier videos 10x, 20x outlier, and they try to remake it. And for a while, that was the strategy to do. But nowadays, it doesn't work. It's oversaturated. And a lot of people who do that are like, well, why didn't it work? There's a lot of reasons. But instead of spending 20 minutes explaining the reasons, I'm just going to give you straight up the fix. I'm going to show you exactly what to do. So back to what I was saying, noise is a single outlier video. One video that performed really well on one channel, that could be a fluke. It could be because that creator has, like Alex Hormozi, 2 million subscribers, right? And anything they post gets pushed. It could be a trending topic that already died. Noise is unreliable. One outlier is unreliable. So what I do is I find signal. Signal is a pattern, okay? It's multiple videos across multiple channels with different subscriber counts, all performing significantly above average on the same topic or format. Okay, when that happens, that's not a coincidence. That is the market telling you something. Do not ever ignore signal and turn towards noise, because noise is just a faster solution to get your content out. It will be a net negative thing to do. Your job right now is to temporarily become a YouTube researcher. It's to find that signal, not the noise. And here's how you do it. Step one, you want to map your buyer's mind before you touch any tool, okay? So before you open any paid YouTube research tool like Velio or one of 10 or whatever, you need to do something most people skip entirely. And this actually makes a massive difference in the quality of your research. What you need to do is you need to map out your buyer's biggest pains and biggest interests. Not topics, not video ideas. I'm talking about pain points and interests. I'm a very visual person, so I like to go in and do this all in Figma. But essentially what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to write what keeps them up at night, right? What are they frustrated by? What have they tried that hasn't worked yet? What are they excited about? What do they desperately want to figure out? If you write these things out and just take 10 minutes and don't use AI to actually do this part, like actually use your brain and think about this person you're trying to reach yourself. And I swear if you guys do this, this isn't one of those time-wasting exercises that literally does nothing for you after you finish them. This is not fluff. This is actually going to help you significantly when it comes to the research process. Because when you go into a research tool and you have no idea what to search for to start your research process and you're just wondering, well, you can turn to this list of pains and interest. And now you have a map of what to search for, right? You know exactly what to search for to reach your ideal client profile. For example, if you're in the AI space, some pains might be, I feel like I'm always behind with AI because it moves so fast, or I don't know what the best tools to actually use are, right? Or I can't figure out how to apply AI to my specific business, right? There could be a million different pain points. But guess what? If I'm doing research in the AI space, now those pain points become my search terms. I will literally type those in to any research tool. And guess what? Your search term leads you to the data, leads you to the signal rather than the noise. And that brings me to step two. which is you need to map your adjacent niches. I don't understand why people do not do this because it moves the needle so much if you do it right. This is something most people never do, and it's one of the highest leverage moves in the whole research phase. Your adjacent niches, basically similar niches to your own, are the spaces or the niches or topics that overlap with yours. So if you're in, like me, the YouTube growth niche, adjacent niches might be business and entrepreneurship, social media content creation, video editing, maybe it's filmmaking, personal branding, right? These are all adjacent niches. Now, why does this matter? Well, because sometimes the best performing video format in your niche hasn't even been invented yet, but it already exists in an adjacent or another niche. And the first person to bring it over wins. Let me make this make more sense. For example, I was doing research in a completely different niche, the mental health space. And I found a video format I saw performing over and over again in that space. It was 6 signs you're going to beat depression, keep going. Guess what? I was the first person to adapt that format and bring it into the YouTube growth space. I came out with a video about a year ago called 6 Signs You're going to Blow Up on YouTube, Keep Going. That video blew up. It went viral and it got over 180,000 views. Now, since then, I've done this multiple times. I found a format crushing it in something like the business space, and I brought it into my space, the YouTube growth space, and it outperformed everything else on my channel. So what you want to do is you want to write out your adjacent niches. You may not need them. Maybe you will, maybe you won't, but you want to have them. It takes literally 1 minute to do. But the reason this is so valuable is if you run out of signal in your own niche, meaning if you're doing research in your own niche and you start to run out of research or ideas, well, now what you could do is go into these adjacent niches and start searching things in there, trying to find patterns, trying to find signal. Now, step 3 of this research phase is going into a research tool, a YouTube research tool, and actually gathering. Yes, I know it's paid, whatever. All right. If you're watching this, that's not a big deal. And if you are hung up on the idea of paying for a YouTube research tool to help you save time and get better results, then this video is not for you. So go open a YouTube research tool, right? It's literally like a few bucks a month, but listen, it's going to save you hours and hours of time. I use a YouTube research tool called Velio. In my opinion, it is the best, but you could also use a really popular one, is also one of 10. Now, they have different strengths. I'll leave a link to both of them down below just to make your life a little bit easier if you want to check them out. Highly recommend you get at least one of them, ideally Velio, because it's what I use. Whatever tool you decide to use, create an account with that YouTube research tool, and what you're going to do is basically follow this setup. It's a setup I use every time. And any of those tools you decide to choose, go to the research tab, they all have one, and click on the filters button. What you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna set your filter to at least the last 90 days and set your outlier score to at least 5x. That means you're only looking at videos that performed 5 times better than any channel's average. Why 5x? Because a 2x outlier on a channel with 2 million subscribers is very different from a 5x outlier on a channel with 15,000 subscribers. The smaller the channel, the more meaningful the outlier. A small channel can't coast on brand recognition. If their video crushed, it's because the idea was genuinely strong. Remember, and I say this a lot, context first, always. Cool. Now start searching your pain points that we came up with and the interests for your ICP. Just do it one by one. And as you scroll through the results, you're not analyzing yet. All you're doing is you're gathering. So any patterns that you find or any video with a low subscriber count, but a lot of views and a big outlier score, you screenshot that, man. And all you're doing here is just taking screenshots, gathering anything that grabs your attention, interesting title, strong outlier, the things I just told you, right? Screenshot it, move on. Now, don't stop to analyze yet. Otherwise, it's going to be way more time consuming than it needs to be. Right now, what we're doing is we're allowing ourselves to just go down these rabbit holes on this research tool and just gather. I'm a very visual learner, as I already said, so I use Figma for all of this. I have a research board in there where I drag and drop every screenshot. And by the end of a full research day, I have hundreds of data points on that board, like hundreds of videos screenshotted. Now, one more really just pro tip here. Both Velio and 1 of 10 have a find similar videos feature. So when you find a video that really interests you, use that tool, right click it, and it opens in a new tab with more videos just like that one. And this is how you go deep on a specific topic and find patterns way faster. Now, typically I'll have about 50 tabs open during this time. I know it sounds chaotic, but it's actually incredibly efficient once you start to get the rhythm of it and you actually try this for yourself. Which leads us to step 4, sort and find patterns. So now you have a full Figma board full of screenshots or a Notion board, whatever you want to do, wherever you want to put it. This is where the real work actually happens. What you want to do is you want to go through every screenshot and start grouping them together. What you're doing is you're grouping them or looking for videos that share the same core idea, the same title structure, or the same thumbnail approach, okay? And this could be across differing niches. It doesn't matter. What we're doing here is essentially summed up, put simply, we're going through all of the screenshots that we took and we're trying to find patterns. And then when we find those patterns, we're grouping them together, right? One video with a great title, it's noise like we talked about, but 4 videos with the same title structure, all performing well on 4 different channels, that, my friends, is signal. When you find a group of 4 or more, you have found a pattern, and a pattern is the foundation of a viral format. Now, here's an example of what this looks like in practice. When I was doing research in the AI space, as an example, recently, I started finding videos with titles like Claude Code just changed YouTube forever. Claude Code just changed content creation forever. Claude Code just changed Facebook ads forever. Claude Code just changed trading forever. Like, the list went on and on. And I was like, oh my God, this is a pattern. Like, this is a strong pattern, because it was a pattern I found. All of them were on small channels with massive views. All of them, different channels, different niches, all crushing it. That, my friends, is not a coincidence. That's a format, a viral format. And when we find that pattern, this is the part where we turn it into a format, right? The format becomes, for the example I just gave you, Claude Code just changed niche specific thing forever, right? Claude Code just changed consulting forever. Claude Code just changed the fitness industry forever. Right? The list goes on and on how you can make that viral format applicable, which, by the way, you're welcome. Go make that right now. It's June 17th and it's still working. But here's the beautiful part of this. Once you identify a format like that, you can now plug in your niche into it and have a video that is statistically more likely to perform well before you've even filmed a single frame, dude. I found that pattern. I made a video called Claude Code just changed YouTube forever. Like, this is real life examples I'm giving you guys. And it is performing extremely well on my channel, even as we speak. That's the difference between guessing and researching. Now, step 5 is extracting those viral formats. So how do we actually do that? Well, once you've grouped your patterns, you extract the formats. So you can take the repeating structure and you can turn it into a template with plug and play variables. I already kind of told you how to do that. But for example, like Claude Code just changed niche specific thing forever, plug in any tool, any niche. How I automated X% of my niche thing with tool, all we need to do is plug in a percent number, a niche specific task, and then a tool that we use. And now we have a viral format. Or another one, how to start a 1-person niche business with tool, right? Plug in any niche, any tool. These aren't just title ideas that I just kind of riffed off to you. These are actually validated formats, so you're welcome. The market has already told you they work, because now you're not guessing anymore, right? We're basing this off of numbers. Now it's your job to make sure that what you're plugging into those viral formats is extremely niche specific in order to bring in the right viewer. This is how we implement strategy with conversion focused content. You also want to do the same thing for thumbnails. As you're going through your research, what you'll see is you'll start seeing the same thumbnail compositions or styles showing up across multiple videos. One thumbnail format that I found across tons of niches that are crushing right now is literally face, computer, pointing, thing on computer. Like, that's it. So screenshot those 2, group them, and find the thumbnail patterns as well. And by the end of a full research day, which you should dedicate an entire day, like once a month, to doing this, at the end, you should have a list of interest topics with signal behind them, a set of viral title formats with plug and play variables, a set of thumbnail patterns that are proven to work in your space, and a list of viral vector words, which are, by the way, viral vector words are essentially power words that show up repeatedly in high performing titles. Words like leaked or luxury or secret or automated or like forever, it's words that make your title more viral or clickable. They're called viral vectors, or also known as superlatives. Now that is your content roadmap right there. Not based on what you think might work, but based on what the market has already proven works. All right, cool. So now you know how to get the right traffic. Let's talk about how to convert it. Because getting traffic is only half the equation. The other half is making sure that that traffic has somewhere to go, making sure that it's the right traffic, that it moves through a system that turns viewers into buyers. That's what the YouTube acquisition engine is, which is my methodology behind this essentially. And I've broken it into 5 parts in the exact order you should follow. Offer, buyer, beliefs, videos, conversion. Those are the 5. We'll go over them. Now, most people start at videos, and that's the problem. We've already covered that, right? You can't build a channel that converts if you don't know what you're converting people toward, who you're converting, or what they need to believe that they're ready to buy. So now let me walk you through each of those 5 stages, okay? Now the first one is offer. And when I say start with the offer, I don't mean go and figure out what to sell, okay? If you're watching this, you probably already have an offer. What I mean is translate the offer you have into buyer psychology. So most businesses know they know what they sell, right? They know what's included, what the price is, how the delivery works, but they haven't turned the offer into a content strategy yet. So as a result, the channel becomes disconnected from the reason the business actually makes money. To fix that disconnect, you reverse engineer your offer, right? What's the problem it solves? Who feels that problem the most urgently? What is happening in their world before they realize that they need your help? What have they already tried? What do they believe that's keeping them stuck? What do they need to believe before your offer feels like the obvious next step to go into? Those questions turn your offer into a content map, because good business content doesn't come from topics, it comes from buying moments. A topic, for example, is something like YouTube strategy. Somebody doesn't buy YouTube strategy. A buyer's moment, or a reason they buy, is when they say to themselves, man, our channel gets views, but it's not converting into customers. Me solving that, that's a buying moment. Another example of just a topic is like content marketing. But a buying moment, a moment that gets them to buy, is where you're starting to talk about or answer the question in their head that they have, which is like, listen, our acquisition costs are rising and organic trust is super weak for us. That is something that'll get them to buy. One more example, and then we'll move on. Another topic, and I say this example because I see it all the time. Another topic is just personal branding. Dude, nobody buys personal branding. A buying moment is when somebody has the pain point of like, man, people know who we are, but they don't really understand why they should trust us. Like that is conveying that is turning a topic like personal branding into somebody who will learn personal branding or pay to learn personal branding from you, because you're hitting on that exact buying moment, their core pain. You're turning your offer into buyer psychology, basically. The buying moment is where the video starts, okay? That's what makes the viewer feel like you are reading their mind, not because you used a clever hook formula, because you understand the actual situation that they're in. This also protects you from making content that's accurate but irrelevant. A lot of experts, coaches, consultants, whatever you want to call it, they make this mistake. I see it all the time. They teach something very useful, but the viewer doesn't feel any urgency, right? The information is correct and like legit and just sick information. The content's valuable, but it doesn't connect to a painful enough moment in the buyer's world right now. So the viewer really appreciates it, maybe subscribes to you, but they move on. That's not enough, guys. For a business channel, the video should leave the right person thinking, whoa, dude, this is exactly what I need. This is the exact problem I have. And this person understands it better than I myself understand it. That's the beginning of demand, of conversion through YouTube. All right, now that leads me to my second part of this kind of like proprietary mechanism or flywheel, like whatever you want to call it, which is buyer. Okay, that's number 2. So the buyer is not the same thing as the audience. An audience is anyone who might watch. A buyer is the person your business actually wants more of. Most channels get into trouble because they optimize for the audience and forget the buyer. They make videos that attract curiosity but not intent. They're answering beginner questions but sell to advanced operators, right? They chase broad topics, but the offer is for a specific type of person with a specific problem. That mismatch, that's expensive, because YouTube will give you more of whatever your videos attract. If you attract beginners, the algorithm learns to find the beginners. If you attract people who want entertainment but not solution, it learns that too. So before you create more videos, you need to be really honest about who you want the channel to attract. Not demographically, psychologically, right? What problem are they aware of? What language do they use? What have they tried already? What are they frustrated by? What would make them pay attention immediately to your videos or to you? What are they afraid that is true? Because that's your buyer map. And once you have it, the content that you create becomes so sharp, so tuned in, so dialed in. For example, once you have this dialed in, a good example is like, instead of making a video of like how to grow on YouTube, I could make a video about why your YouTube channel gets views but not customers. You see the difference there? Instead of content marketing tips, you make a video about why your content is building an audience but not demand. Instead of teaching the whole market, you speak to the person who is closest to needing the solution that you provide. This is why I see businesses resist strategy so much. They worry that being specific will make the channel smaller. And listen, sometimes it will, but smaller and more dialed in or sharper is almost always better than bigger and useless. A business channel is not judged by views alone. It's judged by whether the right people become more ready to buy or not. That leads me to the third part of this mechanism that I have in place, which is beliefs. This is the most underrated piece of the entire engine, and it's the one that literally separates channels that educate from channels that actually create demand and make money. A video shouldn't just answer a question. It should move a belief. I know that sounds kind of cringe and lame, but the reason I say that is because people don't buy because they learned one more tip from you. They buy because their understanding of the problem just changed. Let me give you a real life example. A business owner might believe their YouTube problem is consistency, so they try to post more. But if the real problem is that the channel is attracting just the wrong viewers straight up, posting more won't fix it. The belief that needs to shift isn't, I need to be more consistent. It's, I need the channel built around the buyer journey. That's a completely different video. Another buyer might believe that their video needs better editing or better just content. But if the idea is weak, the title is vague, and the video doesn't move a buyer's belief, better content, better editing, whatever, it only makes the wrong strategy look cleaner. The belief that needs to shift in that example is really like better production is not the same as better positioning. That is another video, a different video, right? This is how you create content that actually supports the business. You identify the beliefs that keep buyers stuck, and then you create videos that move those beliefs one by one, and then you just drop those into proven viral formats, which I taught you how to do in the research part. That's the formula. Now, there are 5 belief categories that matter the most. Problem beliefs, so what do they think the problem is and what is the real problem? Mechanism beliefs, what do they think creates the result and what actually creates it? Urgency beliefs, why does this matter now and not someday? Capability beliefs, so why can this work for someone like them? And then 5th, offer beliefs. Right? Why does your specific way of solving the problem make so much sense to them? Those beliefs become the spine of your YouTube channel, not random topics, not content pillars, not whatever's trending. Beliefs. Because beliefs are what determine whether someone moves or not. If you can name the problem better than everyone else, the buyer assumes you can probably solve it better than anybody too. That leads me to the 4th part of kind of like my mechanism that we're breaking down right now, which is now and only now do you build the content. Because now you know what you're building toward. Right? You know who you're talking to. You know what they need to believe. You know what buying moment each video is entering. You know methodically how everything is designed and structured on your channel, and everything has a reason. The research system I showed you guys earlier tells you what topics have signal. The belief map tells you what each video needs to accomplish. And the buyer map tells you who you are actually speaking to. If you put those 3 things together, dude, you have a content strategy that's actually connected to the business and that will work. I guarantee you. Every single video has a job. Some videos attract, some videos diagnose, some videos build trust, some videos shift beliefs, some videos prove the mechanism that you have, some videos remove objections, and some videos like this one, they convert. If none of that is intentional, YouTube becomes a content calendar with no business logic or strategy, right? The channel looks very active and pretty and cool, but the business will never feel any of it. And that leads me to the 5th part of my mechanism here. Views should not be the conversation we're having if your goal is revenue over growth. Subscribers are not the conversion. Even trust is not the conversion by itself. The channel needs a clear path. If the viewer watches, if they believe you and wants the next steps, what happens? Most business channels are super vague here. They end up with soft subscribe requests, a generic link, or 5 different options to choose from. That's not a conversion path. That's a leak in a bucket. A YouTube acquisition system needs a simple next step that matches intent of the video, and it needs to be super clear and super simple. If the video is broad and educational, the next step might be a longer training video. Go enter them into your ecosystem. It might be a free lead magnet where you can enter them into your newsletter and nurture them there. If the video is high intent, like this one, the next step can be closer to the offer, right? Straight to the landing page of the offer in cases like this. The point isn't that every video needs the same call to action. The point is that every video should know what job it is doing. A video that creates awareness should point to the next belief. A video that handles an objection should point toward an action. A video that explains the mechanism should make the offer feel more logical. A video that shows proof should make the viewer believe the result is possible for them. That is how attention becomes demand. Not by pitching constantly, but by building a path that matches where the viewer is. For a business, this path can be so much simpler than most people think. Because videos create the belief. The call to action moves the person to the next asset, the next destination. The next asset deepens the trust, and the funnel or application qualifies intent. And the sales process or checkout, whatever it is for you, converts the right fit buyer. That's the architecture. But it only works if the content and the conversion path are saying the exact same thing. If the video attracts one type of person and the offer is for another, the path breaks. If the viewer believes you but doesn't know what to do next, that path breaks. There's something I say very often. If you want to just crush it on YouTube in terms of revenue, you need to have very strong synergy between your audience, the content you make for that audience, and the offer you have for that audience. One clear next step beats 7 week ones every single day of the week. When someone is ready, don't make them think. Give them the obvious next move. All right, so now you literally have the full system. The research process, the funnel architecture, the VSL strategy, the 5-part engine we just finished talking about. Here's the thing about strategy. It's only worth something if it gets executed on correctly. And this is where most business owners hit a wall, a brick wall that doesn't break. Not because they don't understand the system. You just sat through an entire hour of this. You understand it, I hope. The wall that they hit usually is time. Because running this system properly, the research days, the belief mapping, the scripting, the packaging, the audits, the feedback loops, the actual posting, the creating, that's not a weekend project. That's a serious operational commitment on top of running a business that is already eating your own day with its own fires that need to be put out. I talk to entrepreneurs constantly who tell me the exact same thing. They're always like, dude, Dylan, I see the results you get. I know YouTube could change my business. I just can't put the time and energy that I need into dedicating it, into learning it right now. And dude, like I hear that. I genuinely do. Because here's the reality. You probably don't have a content problem. You have the resources. You have the knowledge. You're smart. You're a business owner, right? You could speak on your topic for hours. You have more than enough material to make great videos. What you have is a guessing problem and a time problem. You think of an idea that seems like it should work. You package it the way you think makes sense. You post it, and when you wonder why nothing happens, well, it's because you're guessing. You're throwing spaghetti at a wall and hoping something sticks, as I mentioned earlier. But hope is not a strategy. Film, post, hope. Film, post, hope. Film, post, hope. Like, that does not sound fun. And as a result, nothing compounds. You waste more time. As a result, YouTube stays that thing that you'll eventually get to later. You keep putting it on the back burner. And that is exactly why I built what I'm about to show you. What I've built is essentially for 90 days, me and my team build and run your YouTube channel completely for you. You film once a week. We handle literally everything else. I'm going to be really specific about what that means, by the way. We do the research, and we have some of the best YouTube research in the entire space. We pull videos based on proven to work data. The exact process I just walked you through, just like 10 times more layers to it. That was the surface level layer, a very important one, granted. And then we also pull data from your actual business, right? And we find the synergy between what the market is responding to and what your specific buyer needs to see. So we're attracting as much of the right traffic as humanly possible. The traffic that makes you money and grows your audience simultaneously. Yeah, I said it. I know it's controversial doing both in one, but it can be done. I've done it myself. We do the scripting as well. Full scripts written for you. And I know what you're thinking. How do you keep my voice in a script that someone else wrote, right? We have a system for that. The scripting process that we have is collaborative, and it takes you about 10 minutes of your time per script, where we get your perspective, your stories, your angle on that unique topic. All of it stays intact. You are the voice, the brains behind the script. We just handle the architecture. We also do all of the thumbnails for you because it's one of the most important things. We do the full packaging, the titles and thumbnails, all of it done for you every single upload. We do the audit. So every video that goes live, we fully audit it. Retention data, click-through rate, comments, conversion signals. We use tracking attribution so we know exactly how many leads and how much money that specific video made you. And then we put everything into a database with Loom walkthroughs so you can see exactly what we did and why. Over 90 days, you're not just getting a growing channel, you are building a library of systems and frameworks that you will own permanently. Meaning you will learn how to do this and know how to implement it yourself after the 90 days. You also get a weekly call with me personally every single week. So every week I get on a call with you and I teach you the system behind what we just built. So while we're doing it for you, you are learning how it works. So after the 90 days, after the 3 months, you don't just have a channel that has grown and brought you in a ton of revenue. You actually understand how to run it yourself. The frameworks, the research processes, the packaging logic, you own all of it. And by the way, we are so ahead of the curve when it comes to AI. We are cutting edge in terms of AI and how we're integrating AI into this whole process in order to make this so much more exponentially powerful than anything else that the market's seen in this space. And you're going to have first row seat into learning that exact same system. And that's why I call this a one-on-one hybrid consulting model, because it's not an agency and it's not coaching by itself. It's where we literally do both. We do the agency model where it's completely done for you, but we also coach you so that you don't have to work with us. You can work with us continuously after the 90 days if you want to re-sign. A lot of people do, but you have the option and the knowledge to be able to go off and do it yourself, right? It's not an agency where we take over and you're dependent forever. It's not coaching where you're left to figure it out alone. It's both done for you with the systems taught to you on the side. Now, I want to show you what this looks like when it's actually running, because it's really cool. For any of you guys who have ever heard of Logan Sendel, there is a platform called School owned by Sam Ovens. He's the #1 school earner, and he's one of my clients. When we started working together, his channel is getting a few hundred views a video, minimal traction, no real momentum. Every single video that we've worked on together has been a massive outlier for his channel. Tens of thousands of views each one consistently on the ones that we've been a part of. Consistent performance of the right viewer, video after video, because the research is right and the strategy is right. Or Frank is another person we've worked with. Frank is a coach who came to me getting about 90 views a video. 90. The first video we built out together got over 20,000 views, and that video closed 3 high-ticket one-on-one coaching clients directly. Not views for the sake of views. It was the right views that turned into revenue from a single video. Or Rodney. Rodney was stuck at 2,000 views, more or less, give or take a video. And we went in, changed the strategy. Next video hit 50,000 plus views, and that video also made him money directly too. Or me. I built 3 of my own channels using this exact process. I have more than 10 videos that have crossed over 100,000 views. I make tens of thousands of dollars every month from YouTube organic alone. I've hit 6-figure months, no paid ads, no cold outreach at scale, okay? Gary Vaynerchuk, the man, the myth, the legend, has flown me out to New York City because of what I've built. That comes from this system, the research, the VSL architecture, the belief shifting content, the conversion path, all of it working together. The process I run on my own channel is the exact same process I run on yours as well when you work with me. So if this all resonates, if you have a business that's already working and you know YouTube could be the lever that changes everything, all you need to do is click the link below this video. It's going to take you to my landing page and you can apply there. It's an application only process. I review personally every application. And if it does look like you're a fit, then I will personally hop on a call with you and we'll map out the first 12 videos and talk through exactly what the 90 days would look like for your specific business and your specific channel. And if it's not a fit, I will tell you straight up and honestly, I'm not going to squeeze you into something that doesn't make sense, because to be honest, it doesn't make that big of a difference to me. I hope you guys have found this extremely valuable, and hopefully I will see you guys on the other side and we'll be able to speak together on a call. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Cheers. I'll see you guys in the next one.